I need your bed, and I need you all the time. Yes, I gave you my heart, that's hello.
Hey,
The Latina goddess is here with the echoing.
I can't hear you.
Why?
That's weird. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
I'm trying to monetize my audio. I was
All
kidding.
right, now I can hear you.
Okay. No, I was kidding about the music. It wasn't bad. It was good. It keeps people calmed
Huh?
down. That's what we need. What is this? Oh, I thought that
Right.
was another invitation to a battle. Red Pill keeps
I
popping
went.
in and out.
Can you hear me or you can't hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. I went on earlier and I was talking about what we were talking about. And someone went on and she goes, "You're talking to me."
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember we were speaking about she's going through the same thing too.
Wow, really?
She's yeah, she doesn't understand why she is still alone, you know.
Oh, Lori says she can't hear you.
She can't hear me.
Can you hear her now?
You
Can you
can't
hear?
hear? Do I
Start
have to
yelling.
speak louder?
I'm gonna get you a goddess megaphone. Hey, I can go out and then come back. Yeah, I don't know. It's you're not wearing Bluetooth, right? The
I should,
Bodes.
right?
I don't know. I don't know if those are better or
I believe so. Let me get the bag there.
okay. I know you had like regular old school earbuds in earlier.
Yeah. I'm gonna put the my
Okay,
Bluetooth.
the Bluetooth.
Thank you for the follow.
Joey Three Snow, what's up? Well, we were talking in the chat about how nobody sleeps anymore.
Huh?
We were talking in the chat about how nobody is sleeping.
No one's sleeping anymore
Some
because
people
everybody
left, and then
because most people, like I said, are vibrating on a higher level. I told you, a higher wave, a higher level field. That's why it's magnetic. It's the implementation of the planets, the energy that it's giving off.
hmm,
The shifts. Look at that. 11, 11, 11.
there you go. 11/11. I'll make a wish. I wish it was February 12th,
Yeah.
and then I could just go to sleep until the 15th. That would have been
Right.
nice. Yeah,
Give me a
yeah,
sec.
that's okay. Oh, my butt's falling asleep. Huh? I didn't bring enough
Everyone's
snacks.
not falling asleep. Which one is it?
Wait, what were my choices?
I said everyone falling asleep or not falling asleep. Which one is it?
Not falling asleep.
Right. Because everyone's alive. That's why everyone's awake. That's why.
Hmm.
Everyone's more and more aware and have like this sense of empowerment, this strength to continue to pursue on their path, the
Hmm.
correct direction, the right way to do things this time instead of going towards another lesson. You know,
Hmm.
'cause the intention of this universe is to not go through lessons over and over again. You know, it's painful the first time, so why do you want to go through it again?
Yeah. Yeah. We do sometimes continue to do that. Joey Three Snow, what's up, bro? You know what? It's all good, brother. Not too much. How about you? Just talking to Latina Goddess. You should follow her.
Yeah, guys. Also follow Jimmy. Very good
Yeah,
spoken.
follow. Yeah, you're in
So,
for.
uh, okay. Let me see. Let me connect my Bluetooth before I start reiterating and talking what I want to speak on
Okay.
the overall topic of discussion. We can say.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for the rose. You guys are awesome.
You
You,
always get
you
a lot.
can you see my people? You can't see them, right?
No.
Wow. TikTok, you need to do better than that. You need to do better than that.
You see how we're split screen? They should have like your comments on one half and mine on the other.
Right. It should be a more much broader open field setting, so
Yeah.
that we don't have to be repetitive and repeat, ourselves. If someone asks you a question, that
Yeah.
you see it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But then people like, yeah. But then they can talk smack about the other person. Like they could say like, "Oh, I can't stand Latina and her Bluetooth," or "Your screen went grayish." There
Give me
you
a
are.
sec, because I'm trying to put the Bluetooth on, but it's not working.
Oh, it's not like staying in.
No. Can they still hear me or no?
Yeah.
I'm being as loud as I can be.
Yeah. Is your hand on
Right.
the microphone?
No, no, no. Actually, I took it off. That's what it could have been. That's probably why she could not hear me.
Uh,
Bless you. Hi, Smiles. Oh, I'm glad you here.
Smiles. I feel like
Yeah.
Smiles used to come to mind. Red
Oh, look,
Red Pill should be
follow.
there any second.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's jumped in here like 7 times and left. I'm like, what do
Are
you?
you
I said,
serious?
what's up? And he leaves.
Tell him to stay still.
That's what I
Stop
told him. I
jumping around.
told him to sit his ass down and take his finger.
Not
Said
a merry-go-round.
if he's gonna touch the screen, just tap it.
Yes, tap the screen.
Tap the screen. Like
Hold the
what's?
mic.
Yeah, I don't know if Reese is still here. She came in as the mod tonight again, but I haven't seen
You see?
her. Huh? Yeah,
Okay,
she's.
so is everybody ready? Okay, cool, whatever. Let's get into it. I want to get into it because obviously, you are of man and I am of woman, right? And it speaks about the implementations and the dynamic, like the thinking, the overall thinking, um, when it comes to relationships. Yeah, relationships, guys. Partnership. It doesn't have to be necessarily like an actual relationship, but also friendship, relationship, partnership. Get it? Ship at the end together. Going through the storm and the waves together. Friendship, partnership, relationship really ties together. It makes sense. But it speaks about mountains. How do you get there, right? How do you get to where you believe that you deserve to be at, right? Not when you want to be, right? But where you need to be.
Mm.
And like, huh? They're so cute. I love it. They're like, go girl.
Someone said, "Huh?
Right? I knew it.
Huh?
All right, maybe I don't know. Jimmy, you're more of a, how you say it? You understand me.
Yeah, I do."
Well, at least son of Hakati, he's laughing, right? Because at least I know he understands. He's getting it. Um, but all right, all right. So, what would be? Thank you. See, he responded. He goes, "Yes, I am." See, he's understanding it. Okay, cool, awesome. Guys, if you don't understand it, trust me, I will reiterate as much as I need to. Okay, but I won't be a broken box either. All right, so it's okay. So right away, I'm using the scriptures, guys. Okay, so the notes, the words are coming out at me, right? Because I'm already speaking about relationship and friendship and partnership. So obviously, I'm being guided towards that subject, right? And the actual objective of rectifying a circumstantial situation. It doesn't have to be a situation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be problematic either, right? There's always a pure core right? It's a core, and there's always a solution. That's why it speaks about the understanding of compromising between the two. Even if you're just starting with someone, right? Even if to you believe in a sense that they're just strangers, right? Obviously, you don't know them, right? So the actual term would be, yeah, that's a stranger, until they actually get to understand you, where the communication comes in to the point that both of you are energetically in this wave field length, like you're vibrating enough to understand one another, right? You don't have to be repetitive. You don't have to be in your mind and say, does this person understand me, right? Sometimes we want to be part of communication, and we'll go, yeah, I get you, right? Okay, then, sometimes man will put you in that circumstance to see if you actually did get them, if you actually did understand them. So we can't indicate these things and say yes, 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 just to like either shut the other person up in a sense, even if it's argumentative, right? Or if it's just a communication. We can't lie to ourselves and deceive ourselves in the process of just, saying, yeah, I do, when in all reality, you don't, right? Men love to hear nothing but truth, right? They like truth. Even if they have to show you, they will, right? And it's all about communication because it's key. Okay, and this is how you climb up to that stepping stone, to that ladder. You break that stone because now there's what we call a level of understanding, enough to be comfortable but not too comfortable, right? We don't want to be too comfortable, okay, and believe in our hearts that we have someone, okay, wrapped around us, basically in a bind, right? Because that's not what a relationship is. All right, a relationship, you're supposed to be understanding of each other's levels in your life, which speaks about your journey, okay, your chapter, your path. Where is God leading you to be? And does that person really understand your pain and what you've endured enough to actually be patient and sit with you, right? And be of that of an ear, right? And less talkative when it comes to a man of leadership, okay? Because men, and you can stop me, Jimmy, because you're a man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Men love and then they enjoy, right? The companionship, the relationship, okay, that you, I'm trying to see, you kind of hmm, like growth, like you grow up to be. They see that change, okay? Because when they met you, they did not know you, right? And because they are interested, it's because the way you're carrying yourself, you're carrying yourself with truth and dignity, right? So a man will know right away when you are this misrepresentation, okay, of yourself instead of just yourself genuinely. All right. And they're not going to tell you, oh, you're acting different, or I know this is not you, because we believe that we place ourselves in this magnetic field where everything is going great, right? And that's how it's supposed to be in the beginning. Everything is vibing, right? You guys are having such a grand time, right? Because it's the chemicals in our brain that's being released because we have been so patient enough to wait of whom we presume to believe that is our person that comes in our lives, right? But we don't truly know that, okay, as a factor, because it talks about patience, all right, having patience to relatively figure yourself out enough to figure that other person out. It just depends on the situation and the circumstance that you're in at that very moment. Okay, you could be at a bar, you could be in a coffee shop, you could be, that's why men say, come with me, or they'll ask you on a date. And a date is to get to know someone enough to make your decision on whether or not you want to pursue this. on whether or not you want to put your time and your energy, okay, into someone the way you're putting it into yourself. And if you're not giving yourself enough time, right, to know where you stand, who you are, okay, what is it that you need to work on, what you need to grow on, and are you strong enough to let this person into your life enough to know that you can be yourself, even if you humiliate yourself in the process. At least you can go and walk away knowing that you were not a misrepresentation of yourself. Okay. You let it be known, whether it's your habitual patterns, your bad habits, you know, what you enjoy, what you like, right? We're not going to tell someone we like something because they like it, because right away they're going to know that one, you never knew about it. Two, you're not good at it. And three, you really don't like it. You know, the mask starts falling off after a while. And you have to be, you know, trustworthy in yourself to understand why you have to be honest to yourself. Because men know these things right away and they're going to find out. So if you're honest with yourself from the get, it would allow a man to make a decision whether you are for them or not because you're less of or less than, okay? Or because, you know, you're worthless or you're nobody. They just know themselves enough to know that they cannot put up with a situation or something about you or something that they just can't seem to deal with, because they know that they will hurt you. They will hurt you, okay? Or they will hurt you later on for masking yourself. Or you're going to end up hurting them for investing in someone that they fell in love with that wasn't really necessarily you. Because us as females, we start complaining after a while. We do. We say these things to lure a man in, the same way a man has a charming character about them. If there's something that you're benefiting from, something that you talk about too early, too soon, you're never really truly going to know whether a man is truly into you or into what you are benefiting or gaining from. So this is why, you know, even in scriptures for a woman, it says, you know, be silent when it comes to you dating. You know, when you believe in your heart that you're ready to meet someone. Men love it when a woman is submissive to the extent where they have an open ear, because they already know themselves. They're built with self-esteem and self-confidence. And how do we gain that? By basically doing nothing but positive things, like exercising. What does our temple, our body enjoy or need in our lives? What would be healthy enough for us to eat and process so that we can have a level of clarity and understanding of how we can proceed to make a positive decisions in our lives? Literally. We have what we call this sense of victim mentality when we know for a fact we truly was not ready to put ourselves in a relationship. And if you are ready, then that means that you were mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually ready to put yourself in either a situation that you knew would take a long time, because we don't judge people, okay? When you know yourself, you don't judge anyone. No matter whether, you know, they've fallen 20 times or picked themselves back up 30 times, you know? You tell yourself, am I ready? Okay, am I healed enough to understand someone else's pain and suffering? Am I healed enough to be compassionate enough to stand tall when someone needs a shoulder or an ear to listen? Am I truly ready? All right, Jimmy, you talk now.
Yeah, it's a good word. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was going through, I was sharing with Latina earlier that I went through a lot of, I hired a really high end coaching group that works with men on their relationships, their marriages, their careers, etc. And a section of it is about their relationships. And what was interesting is that for the last 4 months or so, a lot of the fixation or the methodology was in not focusing on the things your partner has as far as flaws or trauma or perceived craziness, or she's bipolar, or she's this or that. And basically, the coaching just said, no, you know what? She may or may not have that, but you can only control what you respond. You can only control your response to whatever it is that she's doing. And maybe the root of that is your behavior. And the truth is, it's only covering one aspect of it. And maybe in a couple's setting, it might be more clear because you're always getting there's three sides of the story: his, hers, and the truth. So what they do is, at least in this setting, is to eliminate your ability or tell you that, like, this guy won't work with you if you are going to blame your partner. He goes, you have to assume all responsibility and only for yourself. And that's where you personally get healed and become more whole and a better version of you. So it's interesting because for all this time, I wasn't really allowed, I guess, or at least in this setting, it wasn't encouraged that you look at your partner's actions as maybe um, a um, a reason for your actions. So it's interesting to hear like that other side where there is, I mean, obviously blame on both sides of a situation if there's conflict or discord or whatever. And I think that men don't have a lot of, it's frowned upon when like you take a man's side or try to see his perspective or the way he thinks or the way he's wired, because it's true, we're very simple, and a woman's brain is so much different than a man's. And I think you said it, Latina, like um, it's like there's a subconscious where in your brain there's so many things going on and so many scenarios and this and that, and guys are like just looking really like linear, like, huh, like, why,
The,
like, here's the,
the
well,
conscious, yeah.
yeah, you have a problem, well, let's solve it. It's like, no, I want you to listen to me. Well, then why are you just complaining? Like, don't you want to solve a problem? No, I want to be heard. It's like us guys mistake the want or the need for closeness and understanding. Um, a lot of guys, I mean, they could hear it. It goes in one ear, not the other sometimes. I think for me, I really heard it when I was in immense pain. And then my heart was open because it was like a fresh wound in me. And I was receptive because I want to get this thing right. So for me, what I gleaned, for me at least, with this was that I looked at my actions, responses, or behaviors and how they could negatively impact a person I'm with. Um, and what it did for me was created boundaries, better boundaries for myself, to where if there is a woman in my life who's going to act a certain way or act up, and there's only so much navigating of emotions or steering off the cliff I can do, to where I don't want the hassle of always putting out a fire. I want someone who's going to have done the work on themselves and is trying to walk a
Right.
path and is going to be understanding, isn't going to be assumptuous or overly reactive to things, and then calm down and then come back. I mean, I understand it to some degree, but there's also, yeah, you're wired that way, but you can temper that. You know,
Right.
if you're with somebody, if you both have like you're like you've got polarization, but you're both seeking to understand the other, it starts to get a little bit closer to this neutral place where now you're a good solid unit and you respect the strengths and you help to cover over the weaknesses that's in your partner or potential partner.
Right.
And a lot
I
of
agree.
times we are making such snap decisions. It's like, uh, you know what? I don't like Latina's headband. I'm going to swipe left. You know,
Because
I mean,
it's
the
based off of
littlest fickle.
it's based off of emotion. Like the females, they feel a specific way, and it's all pain. But obviously, the man's not going to feel that yet, especially when you're just starting out with them. They're going to understand it, obviously, because they've been there before,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they're not going to understand it the way that you do, because we have this tool that God gave us, right? And that's tolerance of pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man does not have that, right? They basically, were punished with using their hands beneath the soil, right? So they're workers, they're providers, they're protectors. It's a defense mechanism, right? And us as females, obviously, it's more on an emotional standpoint, because we were already embedded with the tools from God above in regards to pain from within out itself, right? To a specific degree. So the man is not going to understand you on an emotional level. We have to teach these men, what if they were abandoned young? And exactly as Jimmy indicated about triggers and traumas, you don't know if this person per se endured these triggers and traumas, on a very mental level, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that they're psychotic. It doesn't mean that they're crazy. It doesn't mean that they have a mental issue. We presume to put that notion and embed it in our head, and our mind is very powerful to the extent that if you say these things are too good to be true, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. If
Mm-hmm.
you indicate yourself that you're mental, or that you got a circumstance or situation and there is no cure, there is no solution, where's the
Mm-hmm.
compromise? Balance? Where's the understanding of who you are? Everything starts with you, okay? And you can end up piercing yourself, self-deceiving yourself, self-inflicting yourself, right? Believing for a sense that it could be someone else, putting the weight on someone and making it a responsibility for them to fill that void, knowing that you were supposed to fill that void within yourself. On what's happening and what is the pattern? What is the underlying truth within yourself as to why you cannot and you have such a difficult time of being, truly and 150% honest and faithful between the two, right? Between
Right.
each other, and not feeling in a sense as if you're going to be judged, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
apprehended, okay, or punished, because that's your partner.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to understand you, but we have to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that you are being a mother. The instincts of a mother obviously is naturally in us already to begin with, right? And obviously how we were raised is very important too, to into our growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do we take that on, right? Do we carry that baggage, right? Or do we break the chains?
Mm-hmm.
Do we break the chain, or do we punish our own mother and don't honor her because she did not know how to love you correctly enough for you to love someone else the way they deserve to be loved, and the way that you see yourself loving yourself, right?
Yeah.
Where is the better version of you, and how you can heal that inner child that truly wants to come out, that
Mm-hmm.
truly wants to be shown. And the only way to do that is to be honest with yourself. This is
Yeah.
how you earn respect and respect from others. You do not receive it, you earn it. Okay? So, how you treat your friends, how you treat your associates, how you treat your relationship, how you treat your mother, how you honor your mother, how you honor your father, is how you know that you're completely healed, because you are understanding now. You're
Mm.
seeing it from a different perspective, a different level, a different view, you know,
Yeah.
enough to understand someone's suffering and pain. And sometimes it doesn't always have to be suffering and pain. We heal through laughter. We heal through inspiration. We heal through motivation. We heal through these habitual patterns that we finally see that we're doing amongst ourselves. How
Mm-hmm.
we're just ourselves, how we're destroying our temples. What are we doing to actually make good of it, right? Make peace with it, right? Not looking back, but actually moving forward. What do we do to better ourselves? What do we do to show someone that they are also important, right? You allow them
Yeah.
to be part of your progress. Right?
Mm.
And you don't have to indicate these things out your mouth, no, right? Sometimes it's good to show that you're busy, that you're implementing something, that you're working on something, that you're working on yourself, that you're working on a project. You don't need to express this at all. They'll see it through your charisma, your artistry, the way you have developed,
Mm.
okay? And the way you are with other people, your presentation, your dynamic, you know, your smile, it says a lot. How you deal with circumstances, how you deal with situations, how you deal with problems. If you want it to be a problem, but it doesn't have to be a
Mm.
problem. It shouldn't ever be a problem because that's how we attract negative energy into our
Mm-hmm.
lives. When
Mm-hmm.
we believe that something is always a problem, it will end up becoming a problem. And when
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem, no one wants to be in that bubble. No one wants to be in that energy, especially if you've been doing nothing but working on yourselves. And no one said that while you're working on yourself that you're not going to fall. Okay? Because as it gets harder, or as you thank you, Father, as you get nearer, all right, to whenever you're accomplishing or succeeding, it is going to get harder, right? But in the mind, in the soul, okay, because you're elevating. But
Mm.
I believe the 3D in the universe, I believe that your presentation, as you continue to level, your work will be done. It will be finished. And that's exactly what the scriptures also is indicating. Continue to follow your heart, to follow your desire, to follow your passion, to understand who you are, enough for people to understand you, right? Enough for them to want to communicate with you, enough to want to be around you, enough for other positive people to also vibrate with you and connect with you.
Mm.
That's how you get to the mountaintop. That's how you establish yourself and you stabilize yourself and you start being long term with anyone and everyone. It is healthy to socialize yourself with people. It is not healthy to be alone or feel this sense of loneliness. But
Yeah.
if you need to separate yourself, to give yourself time to understand where you're going, where you're leading towards, and what's important to you, then you know exactly where you're at that right pivotal moment. And guess what? No one then can distract you, discourage you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Confuse you, right? Because obviously God is not a confusion. No one can manipulate you to the extent where they can control you enough to get you out of what you've gained or gained with your partner or in a relationship because you're strong enough to be guided, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what makes logical sense, not just emotional, but
Yeah.
logical. And that's how you stand there because you're fighting not just for you, but you're fighting for what you worked so hard for to invest in.
Mm.
People are not just going to give you something to give you. They're giving you something because they're seeing something within you. They're supporting you because they're believing in you. Enough the fact that you're believing in yourself to overcome in any situation. And this is when God comes in and says, I'm going to continue guiding you and I'm going to continue pushing you because now you understand what I've
Mm.
been trying to show you for the longest.
That's awesome. It's interesting what you said, because I know everything you say is backed by scripture. I've seen it. I've seen it not only in your words on your lives and everything, but I've seen it in your conduct, in, I guess you could say, real life. That it's, you walk the walk and talk the talk. One of the things you said brought me back to therapy when, in the early stages, some of the rebuilding of, you know, your heart, your soul, your emotions, finding those weak spots or points of pain from your past that is shaping your hurtful behavior in your present. And one of the things was there was identification of a power struggle and dysfunction in the marital example that I had as a kid of my parents. And so they were married until my mom passed, and then my dad passed a few years later. And people, you know, will go, "Hey, you grew up in a, you know, a healthy home of a mother and father." And technically, that's true, and that's, I think, the way, in all, if all things are going well in a family, how it goes. And some, and my parents were definitely this couple, they believed in staying together for the kids and that it's just the right thing to do. So it was not a decision because they loved each other and they were growing more in love and growing together, but
Right.
they would fight all the way through it. And so there were things that were that shaped some of my decisions in relationships without my knowledge of where it came from and that it was dysfunctional. So one of the things they had us do, my therapist, the head guy of the 7 therapist group, and I'm really confident about um, my decisions that I've made in the last several months because they all came from different levels and different backgrounds in that field, but also there's biblical principles that are the foundation of all of this. So there was no conflict there. But one of the things that the main therapist said was, "Have you told your parents that you forgive them and that you believe they did the best they could do?" And I said, "I can't do that. They're dead." He goes, "I didn't ask if they're dead." He goes, "You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you." And he had me write letters to them.
Right.
And he had me write it with the opposite of my writing hand because it went to another side of the brain when you use the opposite hand. And it was unbelievable what came out when I wrote these letters. And then he had me take them because their grave sites were relatively close and read the letters to them at their grave sites. And it was such a cleansing experience. And I didn't realize how much it would heal me immediately when I did that. So I forgave them. I read it. And then I went and sat in my car and I cried so hard, like a little child. All of the stuff that I had bottled up, suppressed, and actually blocked in my brain that I didn't even realize until I went through the exercise. Um, and since then, those things are gone. And yeah, forgiveness is huge when it comes to moving forward. And I think a lot of people in relationships, they hold on to it as almost to confirm their martyrism, or
Right.
in some cases, without making light of it, to have a reason for misbehavior or to act up, and they
Right.
don't have to, they are not the problem, they're the victim, and the world's going to pay for it now. Nobody
Right.
is happy.
So yeah, so that is true. That is true. People misconstrued. Okay, they put some sort of name for either themselves or for other people. Okay, and that speaks about a band-aid, like a wound. And you're covering it. You're not actually accepting these things for what it is. Okay,
Mm,
and just moving forward. And yes, easier said than done, but it can be done.
yeah.
We didn't say it's going to be done right away. We didn't say it's going to be accomplished today, right? These things obviously takes time, okay? Because you're talking about years, okay, in the making when it comes to whomever you were living with, your parents, right? We,
Mm.
we, we believe that everything is okay and that everything will be okay, right? But is it truly okay? Are you truly okay? Are you doing things that you know for a fact the outcome is going to be grand, not a consequence? That we end up putting things under the rug instead of facing it, instead of facing the truth of the matter at hand. Most of the times we don't see it for what it is. We don't look at our mother or our father, right?
Hmm.
We're like, but you're supposed to be this way, mom, or you're supposed to be this way, dad. How come when I go to my friend's house, their family, is around we're eating like, what I
Yeah, you're glitching a little.
what your society. So it's like, okay, something, you know, um,
Yeah,
I'm, am I in an established family, or is it, a bit off in a sense? Am
yeah.
I okay? Am I to like need to present myself a specific way, when it comes
Hmm.
to entering either people's homes and stuff like that? It's just a character. And it's like, no, I'm not my mother. I'm not my father, and I forgive them, I forgive them, and I need to, and obviously in order to move forward, in order to move on,
Yeah,
the right, the healthy way, the most compassionate way. And, you
yeah,
know, like you said, we have this tendency of picking up these baggages and victimizing ourselves, or victimizing the other person and saying, listen, it's you. You. No one told you to include yourself. No one told you to come, we
hmm,
we are we allow, we are what we make, we are what we do. You're the one that's taking these steps, and
yes,
then we get told, well, how do we get out? We're put in this position now. No one told you to enter. No one told you, the things we're going to be, butterflies and unicorns and roses. You have to, understand that. Are you really ready to accept true love? And is it true, genuine love enough to accept someone for who they are? We're
yeah,
not here to change other people. We're here to understand them.
mm,
Okay? To understand them. You know, we're not in their shoes, right? But most of the time, in order to truly understand them, we have to be there, right?
yeah,
Someone can say, I'm ready. But once you get into the ring, into the game, into knowing someone, are you truly ready to ride that wave?
yeah, yeah. And
Are you,
oftentimes we're not, and you get thrown.
are you prepared? Because what we see in the outside, right? If we're going on like 2, 3 dates, obviously someone's going to look good, right? And once you start getting to know them, what happens? They get in this comfort zone to the extent where you're like, ah, they know me already. I'm not going to be looking this way, man. I'm not. I'm gonna please. Everything is fine. I got them where I have them. Yeah, they're here. They're mine. They're not going nowhere. No. In all reality, you're still single.
Mm,
Nothing in this hand.
mm,
But
yeah,
obviously, really, relatively need to know someone. You have to move with them. You have to move with them to understand them.
yeah,
But you're not really indicating all of your habits. And if you are primarily, you might not understand all of them. Sometimes you need another eye, or another, someone to see where is your underlying problem at,
yeah,
and ready or willing to deal with that. Because
yeah,
if not, obviously someone is going to see that you don't necessarily truly care for yourself the way that you do.
yeah,
And then you're also going to understand that someone relatively just wanted one intention with you. They're not going to care for you if they're not concerned, because if they're not concerned, then they just don't care for you to change. Why? Because they don't see the potential in you. They
yeah,
never see the truth in you. They never really truly wanted to get to know you. Some people put themselves in these predicaments where their intention was not looking for someone.
Mm.
And their intention was, I'll go on just like one date with this person, and then you guys start, meshing right,
Yeah.
mixing together right, mingling correctly, vibing correctly, and then
Mm.
you're like, oh my gosh, I really get along with this person, and you never ever knew it. But it's how you treat yourself, how you present yourself to be. People are going to see the real you. So it's always good and healthy to be honest with yourself, no matter what the reaction, okay, or the answer is going to be for you. Because most of the time, like I was telling Jimmy, it's God's rejection for your own protection.
Yeah.
Okay, when you tell these people, what are your habits, what you don't like, what you do like, they're not judging you. They're not telling you, "Hey, I don't like this, so you better not do it either." No, they're just telling you what they don't like. Doesn't mean that you have to stop liking a specific book or a specific fruit or a specific food because you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's how you say it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Make sure the
Exactly.
person is understanding you enough so that you're not feeling a sense of confusion.
Yeah.
And then you putting yourself in their shoes, meaning everything that they say they dislike, you start disliking it as well.
Whatever
No,
you like.
do like it. I've seen that, trust me.
You know what's funny? I think I did that a lot in my early dating days and as a youth. I just thought this is the quickest path to get rapport with them because I'm so attracted that I'm going to. I would even go so far, as maniacal as this sounds, to convince myself that the things I said it to be in agreement was
Mhm.
legitimately what I liked as well. And it's
Right.
really bizarre to go through that level. And then through like self discovery, self awareness, looking at my blind spots, I realized like, why did, like, I had therapies, they're going, well, why did you do that? I'm like, well, to get the girl. But why did you do that? Why? And just keep going and going until I hit like this place where it's like, oh my God, it's because I have a fear of being alone. I have a fear of being rejected. Like there's
Right.
these deep reasons why you're doing things. And that goes back to that. You've got to go back. Well, where did this come from? Why would you lie? Good
Right.
intentions. You convinced yourself it's good, but it's not healthy. And I hear so many women that, like even on like dating profiles, women I'll talk to, they're just scrolling all day, and a lot of them are just asking, "I want a guy who's just honest. Don't misrepresent yourself. Don't overrepresent your income, your height, your whatever. Put a picture
Yes.
of you 20 years ago, and then I show up, and I'm like, oh my god, you know." So just
Yes.
be who you are.
Right. Because of the insecurity,
Yeah.
and that's what needs to be truly worked on.
Mhm.
Just because there's something different from you, right? And it's how God made you. He made you different. It's either someone's okay with that or not, but
Yeah.
you have to know for a fact that you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You're accepting of what you have and who you are. Allow God to recreate you if He needs to.
Hmm.
It's your
Hmm.
confidence that's going to build your insecurities. Okay,
Yeah.
and not for not anyone to try to bash it, let alone you feeling a sense of dismay, or you're feeling like you need to be astray from a specific grouping because you believe that you stand out by your projection of how you dress and how you carry yourself has nothing to do with your mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has nothing to
That's
do
so
with it.
powerful.
And this is why, okay, This is why you really truly have to take the time, and it speaks about urgency when it comes to elevating yourself. Take the time to truly know for a fact of who you are, no matter how you carry yourself on a physical level or physical
Yeah.
plane. Literally, your laughter, okay, and how you bring out yourself is the outcome of your life, your expansion, where you're
Yeah.
going to grow, where you're going to exceed at. The
Hmm.
response, the etiquetteness, even on a professional standpoint level too as well. You know, how is your sense of leadership? Are you ready to be a leader? Are you ready to manage?
Mm.
Not just micromanage. Are you ready to show? You know, are you ready to be part of a situation that you take the blame for, but it was
Hmm.
done unto someone else? Are you ready for that sacrifice? That's what's important. That's what
Yeah.
a leader is all about.
Yeah.
That's what team is all about. And this is why you have to tell yourself, are you prepared? Because happiness doesn't just come from you alone. Pure happiness comes from your inner sense, your inner awareness, your sacrifices that you have made on a genuine level.
Yeah.
And this is how the universe grants you a sense of what we call pursuit of happiness. It's not that you're indicating to yourself, I care less for people or I care less for myself.
Mm.
No, it's to understand the importance of what it is and what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
You cannot allow someone to try to dismay you or dismiss you based off of what you believe that makes you happy, that you want to wear, or your sense of tradition, or if you want to come out tradition. If you believe that societal means for some reason is something that's a nuisance to you because you see yourself, you know, being a completely different character and a different sense of levelness and chapter and journey in your life enough to pursue and to proceed in the process of being successful,
Mm.
literally.
Yeah. It's really interesting how what are your thoughts um on like you see a meteoric rise of somebody like in sport or up the corporate ladder, and they seem like at a certain time they become like because people have a god-shaped hole in their heart and they're going to fill it with something, where people are always looking, whether they say it or not, for idol worship. So a new celebrity, a new whatever, and then it's like they could do no wrong, and they are just like, the cat's meow. And then after they make one little slip, or because power sometimes corrupts, they make a bad decision, and then they become the scum of the earth in a snap. And I wonder sometimes if those people had enough gifts, or they to get there, but the character of the person and doing the work wasn't there, and that's why um, the fall came. I don't know.
Right. So uh, it depends on your intentions of receiving fame. Okay, it depends on your ego and your pride. Okay, allowing your ego and your pride to take the betterment of you. And if so, what is the intention, and is it going to be good, right? Or are you ready for that kind of consequence? What are your risks? You know, what are you pursuing? You know,
Right.
and what are you going to do to turn that around when you receive these notifications from others on how they seen you, you know, primarily,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, if they knew right away what your intentions were because of the way that you reacted, your sense of character, your
Yeah.
present, what you believed others, you know, to view you as, you know? Was it just fame? And if it was fame, are you ready for the consequences because your intention was just fame, right? And not for the people, right? You're not doing for the people. So what are
Yeah.
you going to get back?
Yeah.
What are you going to get back when you have this sense of humiliation? It's a type of humiliation, but it's not out of passion, right?
Yeah.
To the point where it makes you, or it allows you to become vulnerable. Because when
Yeah.
you're vulnerable, you're sensitive to these things. You pick up on them pretty quickly, right? You're
Hmm.
aware of what's going on. But when your intention is to, have this sense of leap, and I can't say leap of faith, right? It's like leap of despair or greed, a leap of
Hmm.
greed, because
Hmm.
your intention was of malice, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a pure intent or love for others, or the fact that you had compassion or passion, right? You cared less about the fame, right? But for some reason, God pushed mountains for you, enough for you to exceed fame. Not that you asked for it, you
Yeah.
know. That's how you receive, your people. Your
Mm.
people are following you because they're vibrating the same wavelength as you.
Yeah.
So they want to follow you. They want to hear you. They're intrigued. They want to hear more. They
Hmm.
know that it's coming from a sense of passion and compassion and desire that you have, not just for yourself, but the fact that you want to help people in their growth, right? In
Yeah.
their journey as well. They don't have to physically be there, right? But you can still show them in a sense of communication to the point where they understand you, right?
Yeah.
Then you know that you're getting to your goal, right?
Mm.
You want to know what you're pursuing if you're going to put yourself in a fame, right? And it's
Yeah.
not a clout, right?
Hmm.
Because wow, this person has a point. This person, she must or he must have done something to get there, right? You guys didn't, take these pivotal steps and skip these steps, no, right? Because
Mm.
nothing comes easy. These things take time relatively. And
Yeah.
when you really push out insecurity out the doorway, right? And
Hmm.
you're completely secure with yourself, you have this level of confidence, and people would want to know. They become attracted to that, you
Hmm.
know, because they know that you know yourself, because they know that you've been somewhere, you've been beneath the dirt, you've been beneath the soil,
Yeah. Yeah.
they know. And that's exactly what I was telling you about, um, when it comes to someone that received an inheritance right away. You know what I mean? That they were fed with a golden spoon. They don't necessarily have the capability or the ability to be vulnerable in a sense. They had
Yeah.
to have that that adult type of mentality. You know,
Hmm.
so like in a sense, it's like show me. And if not show me, right, then
Hmm.
teach me, right? But teach me because you believe that, you need to, right? Not just only because you want to. And most men that are, high executives or CEOs or CFOs or have their companies, it's very, very difficult for them because they have to like work 10 times harder, right? To understand if someone truly is accepting of them for them, not
Yeah.
about fame, not about the fortune, not about the money, not about the fact that they want to, you know, do these things just so that they can be at their level, right?
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
want to understand how you got there, right? They're compassionate enough to basically be driven of your success,
Yeah.
so they'll be intrigued, and they'll start asking you questions that that you can answer because it's normal questions where you used to be before.
Yeah.
You want to know, like, I know I seen remember coming to America with the burger, McDonald's, he
McDowell's.
never had a burger. He never had a burger, and he was, raised in this rich, wealthy family, and a burger to him
Royalty.
was everything, was royalty, exactly, was gold. He was like, how many for this? He took 10, because it was good. It was like, you didn't have to like eat like little what do you call them, hors d'oeuvres and like little crimpets and that are
Yeah.
like freaking $500. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it doesn't
Right.
up. It's just because of your presentation and your character and the way that you have to present yourself when you're walking, into the middle of the hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, ugh, and we gotta like eat correctly. And, I believe God wants you to understand, what it is, to be at the bottom, of the barrel, enough to understand that when you do get there, you know how to present yourself with class, you
Yeah.
know, understand the two, right?
Yeah.
But your actions, your intentions is going to be so loving and compassionate. You're not going to be bitter, You're not going
Yes.
to confuse. You're not going to judge. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You could be in a 6-star freaking what do you call them, dresses, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and you're walking, but your mindset, your mentality is completely different than others that don't truly know how to humiliate themselves in the process, to be okay with it, right, and to
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable and loving. Like, for example, you can have someone bitter beside you, but you're humble enough to know why they're bitter. You don't have to express it or state it or be bitter as well, because you're
Yeah.
not getting nowhere, nor are you teaching that other person why are you so loving?
Yeah.
Why do you have a cup that is overflowing?
Yeah.
You didn't have to give your last hors d'oeuvre bread, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to someone across from you, because they were in pain or they couldn't get up because their shoes were hurting, just to go get that bread of hors d'oeuvre. You're right there near them,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that they're in pain. Now a bitter person would be like, like right in front of them, it's so good, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's those things that usually a woman needs to understand if they were put in that kind of place. The other thing is too is that if you want this success and you want to be successful, right? And you have family and parents that are completely supportive to the extent that they really work so hard to make sure that their daughter climbs up there, right? They don't want their daughter to just climb up there, or their son, right? They
Right.
want to understand what it took for them to work so hard, to sweat, so that you can be up there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you're up there, what did you learn? What did you take from it? What did you understand? Did you understand that, your mother or your father, had to sweat, right? Had to work so hard to put you in a pedestal where they didn't even have the capability of doing so, because your grandmother, your parents, your great great grandmother, they didn't have it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Understanding why you're there,
Yeah.
not for this bossy behavior or this sense of control, or the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you believe because your ego is so high up there
Yeah.
that I can have this sense of empowerment. And then when another man that is empowered, is connected with you, what is this going to be? Power, a power battle, a
Right.
power struggle? Or
Yeah.
are you not understand that it takes so much within you, but then very little of an action to be submissive, and
Mm-hmm.
understand that, okay, we're both in this sense of power, but I need God to guide me enough to
Yeah.
submit myself and to be submissive enough to understand that I'm just independent because this is just me. This is what I like to do. But I'm
Yeah.
not gonna push my husband or my boyfriend, to the edge, to
Mm-hmm.
the point they don't feel like they're ever gonna be part of your progress, right? Or feel a sense of connectivity to the extent that both of you understand why you got there to
Yeah.
receive this source of empowerment. What fulfilled you? And are you going to continue to expand in the process of receiving these blessings that God has to give you?
Yeah.
There's always some sort of confusion to the extent where someone believes that they're going to be rejected, or that the man's going to come in your life, and you indicating, I'm ready because I'm established, because I'm up there, because I'm an international this, or I have a specific degree and all this. You can have degree, but it takes so much to have common sense and logic. you
Mm-hmm.
know Good to receive book smart, and it's also good to receive street smart sense,
Yeah.
right? Why sit at a chair and receive all of this knowledge to just gain some sort of empowerment, but yet you have no constructive path in front of you
Mm.
know, to love, enough to give love, enough to have compassion and be nurturing, and to understand that that person
Mm-hmm.
also went through something that you also went through, right? Enough for
Yeah.
you both to be part of it instead of detached from it because you fear that they're going to control you
Yeah.
or tell you that you can't do this or you can't do that, knowing that you worked so hard to get there. Well, guess what? They did as well. And if they didn't, then they want to understand you of how you got there to begin with, you
Yeah.
know, not
There
this
was
type of power that you believe that you can take over dominion and take over the world and everything is supposed to be mine. That's not love.
yeah.
That's not. And then we wonder why we are so unhappy because we believe that a man can understand us the way we understand ourselves. No, you have to tell that person, I deserve respect. I deserve to be respected and I deserve to be treated as such.
Mm. Mm.
And
Yeah.
and same way for man.
Yeah. There
And
was
by men that believe for some reason that they feel a sense of insecurity or they feel less than because you make them feel that way. You accepted them, you took them under your wing, right? But then we throw these things at them because it
mm-hmm.
makes us feel good, you know?
Mm.
It
Yeah.
feeds and you degrade them. And then they leave your side. And then
Yeah.
you're back to being with someone that you believe has the same, money as you and all this, but do they have the same standards? Are they able to be open and expressive and loving with you?
Yeah. That's really powerful. Um, yeah. We we're looking at the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at the wrong things for sure. It's funny you brought a story. I don't think I've told you this. You could stop me if I have, or um, I'm, I'm sure the people haven't heard this. But so in personal training, I'll work with a wide variety of people, and a lot of them are pretty successful. And it always seems that the ones that were self-made, that
Mm-hmm.
they like took the last chance with $1,000 and built a company in like their mom's garage or whatever, and or if they had a partner that was there and grinded together and built this, and their marriages always seem to be the strongest and they have the most trust and the least amount of toxicity because they both laid the foundation together and they were tested by fire to grow. So there was um, a, um, a couple that I've worked with on and off for years and their kids and everything. And their youngest kid coming up, at that point when that kid was up through his early adolescence, they were filthy rich. I mean, they buy homes, tear it down, buy the block, tear it down, build one house, and then get bored with it and sell it. And they just are just very blessed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because this kid had all of the privileges and they got so busy as years went on that they were stricter with the older kids because they had less money and were a little harder on them. Now this youngest kid was getting perceived to be getting away with murder, and because the other kids were now established working either in the family business or their own businesses, what happened was this youngest one finally got to college age and they put him in a really good school. And
Mm-hmm.
he had like DUIs and got in trouble and flunked out, wasn't going to class. So he goes, you know what? I don't want to go to school. I mean, you guys are self made. You didn't go to college and you built this empire, this franchise. So he's telling me this as I'm training him. And he goes, so I said, just give me a job with the company. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
you want to work for the company? Okay. So he was running coffee for people, going out to get lunch, this and that. And he wasn't thinking much about the tasks he was doing. He just knew he's working for his parents' big franchise, right? Now, payday comes. Payday, he looks at his check, and it was like a couple $100. And he goes, "What the hell's this? You guys own the company." And they go, "What kind of work did you do this week?" He goes, "Just the stuff you told me." He goes, they're like, "Yeah, anybody can do that. It's minimum wage." And the mom looked at him and she goes, "You're a minimum person. You get minimum wage." And he's looking at me and I just busted out laughing. I'm like, "She called you a minimum person?" He goes, "Yeah, can you believe that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes,
Right.
"I'm getting caught." And she goes, "You're going to learn and what it takes." And they were not going to let him because they saw he was going down the wrong path and he felt entitled to it all.
Right.
And because he saw it at its full bloom, amazing company, and he thought he's just going to walk right in, sit next to his father, make six,
Right.
seven figures a year, telling people what to do. And they're like, "No."
No, 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 no. What makes you an established boss or a manager, right, is you knowing what it takes to help and support those that you've hired to
Mm-hmm.
make sure your company is
Mm-hmm.
growing and sustaining and maintaining.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you done to help your people, okay, make sure that your company is succeeding? Okay. Like, for example, your title is, an operations vice president manager, and you go towards a, one of your vendors or like your facility, right? That you have, let's say, your third party workers at, and you see that you have only 4 of them there with such a big project, a task, and you knowing that you have your suit on,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at them, you see them, sweating and struggling. You know, if that was me, I would have rolled up, okay? Listen, I'll be like, "Where's the next bathroom?" Literally, right? And I will roll up my sleeves, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I would be right there on my knees, okay, with them, scrubbing or doing what needs done. That is like a field operations manager, vice president, because they know what it takes or what it took to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doing things out of um, your objective, right, or your subjective as the title that you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you feel entitled, right? But the fact that you're doing something out of your position,
Mm-hmm.
okay? How people respect you. They're not going to be intimidated by you. They don't have to like you, but they're going to respect you
Yeah.
because of the person that you are. And the
Yeah.
fact that your employees, they're always going to have this sense of comfort enough for you to be that authoritative figure, and
Mm-hmm.
enough for them to look up to you like, wow, he understands us or she understands us. Okay, it's not about micromanagement because you're scared that you're not going to exceed at something, or you're not giving a report on time.
Mm-hmm.
You honest with yourself enough to let if you have a higher up, and if they ask you, when will you be done with a specific report or a specific project, darn it, you be honest. You
Yeah.
said, say this, well, you gave me this material, and I'm only working with this, so then that gives me 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you know very well that if I exceed myself enough, maybe, just maybe, if I'm pushing it an hour and a half,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Or
No,
if you have,
exactly.
yeah, that needs help, she or he's pulling their hair because they have so much work, then you, out of your heart, knowing that you have, let's say, other responsibilities, you don't want that person to be, feeling that, because that could be you. And you say,
Exactly.
"You need help, I will help you." you know let me be done with this in like 2 minutes, or let me push this to the side because it's not as a priority as if higher up is requesting her for something that needs to be submitted either on a legal standpoint, and it's
Hmm.
priority.
Yeah.
Very difficult for you to for bosses or managers to want to ask for help from other employees that don't have that sense of a title, right, or entitlement, right? Because for some reason, because of the insecurity, they feel like a lack of, like they're not managing correctly.
Hmm. Hmm.
Said that you're hired to know everything, you know,
Right.
and what teamwork is all about,
Yeah.
support about, maybe someone, it's good at a specific subject, right,
Yeah.
or specific math that you've never learned nor understood. Everyone, I'm talking about everyone,
Yeah.
learns every day how to make sure something works smart, not hard.
Hmm. That is something that is sorely lacking, especially in like North America, where we've been very blessed over the years, and where in other cultures or at a different time in this country, especially like first generation Americans. And I saw it a lot in Dearborn, Michigan, where there was a high Lebanese population, and they were coming in as first generation. And there's a section of a Detroit border to Dearborn where the highest population is that was like just terrible. It looked like the worst part of downtown Detroit because like all these major cities, and you've seen it from where you've been, I know in your life, that you
Right.
have this downtown area built up to attract the affluent white people from the suburbs to come in to watch the millionaire basketball game or the whatever or the big concerts, and then what's the safest freeway to get the hell out of here? And
Right.
so this was a section or a strip of real estate like that where it used to be a high Polish and Italian population. They grew older, or they came into more money, and they went more west. So this was kind of in ruins. And so these immigrants from Lebanon and other Arab countries came over, first generation, and they saw the opportunity there, and they built it up, built it up, built it up. And it was always interesting how people would be like, "Oh, what are they doing here? Maybe they have a tax advantage for a few years," and I'm like, "They saved the area." I forgot how it tied into what you said.
Right.
I went down my
Mm.
rabbit hole here, so you got to keep me on track. Dang it, it was good. I was gonna tie it in.
I know. Well,
That's why
it'll come right back. Trust me, it will.
lack of sleep. That's what it is. Yeah, hopefully it comes right back. But I think what was the last thing you said? That'll jog my memory.
It was about that everyone learns something new every day, right? That it's
Hmm.
about working smart as a team and together, even if you're on your own,
Yeah,
uh, instead of working hard.
it reminded me now. So what was the difference maker? And it was interesting because I know from stories from grandparents and so on that it used to be that everybody lived together
Hmm.
and worked together because they could not do it alone. And we've
Right,
gotten to generations where over the last 20, 30 years, we've had so much prosperity. And I even see my parents do it. They build a big house, rooms far away from all the kids. Everyone had their own space,
right,
and nobody relied on relatives anymore to help. Like if you had two working parents, grandma would watch the kids or a sister or somebody. Now you have daycare that is so priced so high because they know that people are stuck and they're
right.
gonna they're gonna gouge you, or long-term care for grandma, and it cost an arm and a leg, when other cultures look at us like, you're so stupid, you should be taking care of them, working
Mhm.
together, and everybody wins that way. But we have gotten so prideful, but this country is going in another direction now where we're still in our pride, but we can't afford to be. We need each other, and we have to work together and humble ourselves enough to ask questions. Like even you and me with what we're doing, which we really haven't talked about publicly, but you've got so many gifts and I have gifts, but they're not the same. But
Right.
we work together well because we respect the gift of the other.
Right.
And that's huge, and that's what's needed to get anything done, to do it
Right.
right and not to be propped up with pride.
Because that's exactly God's will. That's His intention, is to bring everyone together again and to understand why you were connected to begin with.
Hmm.
Everything stopped, your great grandmother or your grandmother, because
Hmm.
they understood what it is to be together, to have this sense of togetherness, right, and not judge one another. Yeah, speak your mind, right. When you disapprove or something, or you dislike something, doesn't mean that they've never ever accepted you. It doesn't mean that they never loved you. Sometimes it's what we call that type of disciplined love, and sometimes
Hmm.
we just need it because of our stagnation mindset or our stubbornness ways, that for some reason our naiveness, right, we believe that something is correct knowing that it's
Sorry.
not. And like your grandmother, you're like grandfather, like they're looking at you like, are you serious right now? Do you not
Yeah.
understand what you're gonna put yourself into, you know, if you do this? And
Yeah.
you believe that it's healthy and it's okay. No, it's not.
Right.
And this is why they had to be like this discipline to you. And you
Hmm.
believe that they hated you,
Yeah.
you know, and that they've never ever cared for you. Like, what other way was there able to show someone that is stubborn and believes that their way is the best way, knowing that it's not the healthy way because, you've tried it already,
Yeah.
or it was right in front of you,
Hmm.
and you end up feeling a certain way. Like, did you do this on purpose? Did
Hmm.
you humiliate me in front of people on purpose? No, actually, they did not. They were trying to show you that they were being disciplined to you because you kept saying that this is the way, knowing that it's not the way.
Yeah.
You know, and
Totally.
they didn't to indicate it the way that they did, or that they have. They had to drag you from here to kingdom come to wake you up. You know, because if not, the situation could have been dire.
It's like
It could have been far worse.
I use the example, Latina, of like if you have your small child and you're at a cross intersection, and the little kid wants to run across the street and you see a big truck coming, and so your child is trying to go and you grab their arm, and they're fighting you because they don't see the truck, and they're trying so hard. You don't just let your kid go because you know what's coming. You pull
Right.
them back at every with your last ounce of energy or your last will effort. If you have to claw their arm and they're going to bleed and they're going to cry, you save them from something much worse. And I think that's that kind of discipline from grandparents or those in your life that will, it's what we call tough love, right? Or love hurts sometimes, but you love somebody enough that you're going to get the message across because you know where it's going, that it's going in the wrong direction. And
Yeah.
we have demonized that. It's my truth. And, and even if you know it's a bad road, it's like, well, and I saw this in my parents with one of my sisters, is they let her make a lot of bad decisions. And they were like, it's her life and this and that. But then the bad part is that's fine if they let her do it, but then they didn't let her experience the effects of her consequences. They were there to pick up the pieces and enable the bad behavior because she had her son, and she always manipulated my parents to say, if you don't let me do this or help me with that, you're not going to see your grandson. And it was really sad.
The difference between being provoked, right, and being sincere, right? You know, it's difficult on a child standpoint, right? From
Mm-hmm.
seeing an adult, right? Because of our mind is still developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand the difference, especially on another side, like an adult standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know whether you are destroying a child, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right?
Yeah.
Um, you don't know. Is it truly me provoking, right? Instigating in a sense to, indicating these things at the wrong time, right? Um, will it destroy my child, right?
Mm.
The intention sometimes that an adult doesn't see on a child standpoint is, are you affecting them? How
Mm-hmm.
sensitive are they, right? Did we teach them, how to overcome, right?
Yeah.
How to um, be determined, how to have that strength to differentiate whether a mother or father or anyone, right, of an adult factor is saying these things necessarily because they are concerned for you, because
Mm-hmm.
they care, right? Where does the discipline and the provoking stand, right? And that's where we struggle most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, right?
Yeah.
Because we believe we did not provoke our child, or we didn't, start some sort of instigation, right, to
Mm-hmm.
put them in that kind of energy or that sense of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Are we elevating them, right? um, Sometimes, parents did not intend to hurt you,
Right.
they didn't intend that. It's just how they for some reason believed that it would work because it worked on them, right?
Right.
It worked on them, but it still hurt them, right? Was it actual discipline or was it punishment? How did I treat my child? Did I abuse them? You know,
Yeah.
was it abuse, or was it abuse because of my sense of unhappiness as a parent? did i
Mm.
did i take it out on my child because I didn't feel a sense of completion or fulfillment,
Right.
um because their father done me wrong or their mother done me wrong, and when I see them, and you know what I mean, in
Yeah.
themselves or in you, and you know they don't know these things because they don't know how to even start or begin,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it may have affected them.
Yeah.
And then, you waste your time and energy on saying, listen, I'm going to sacrifice, I don't want no one else in my children's life. My intention is to sacrifice, but not sacrifice your happiness,
Yeah.
because when child grows, they know, they can feel that, they can
Mm-hmm.
feel the effects of a parent, and their pain.
Yeah.
Their intention is for their parent to be happy, because if not, then your child won't be happy. Your child will not receive, the better version of their parent.
Mm-hmm.
What are you teaching them? What are you showing them? They're going to believe that that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to be here. You know, it's okay to not be happy and make these sacrifices. If
Mm-hmm.
anything, God wants you to be happy.
Yeah.
And if you're going to sacrifice, make sure it's for the intention of them, and
Mm-hmm.
not emotions, because
Yeah.
it can get the betterment of you. You can have this feeling of misjudgment, like, what did I do? Did I actually
Right.
waste it? And did I waste my time in being unhappy? Because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm unhappy, I'm going to react in a way that my children will see that, and they'll believe that that's okay. And it's not, because, sometimes children teach their parents how to be a better them too.
Mm.
And most of the time, because we have to honor our parents, we cannot, what we call, talk back or say, well, I'm right and you're wrong. No, they have to see
Mm.
that themselves. And when they do, you know, what is the reaction? Is it intended? Is it okay? Oh my gosh, like, my child did not talk back to me. My child did not behave in a specific manner. I knew I was wrong, but my child still honored me.
Yeah.
It hurt the parent. They're not going to express that, you know? And I believe that that's how you build a relationship with your parents too, because you're also building. Even though they made you, you're building, you're growing. They're probably learning from you now. They're
Yeah.
probably learning from you that you became a better, what they've always wanted to be in life. You
Yeah.
know, you are that chain to cut away those misbehaviors or attitude in a sense within a family or domain. You don't know if you're changing your family lineage. You don't know what you're doing until you do it.
That's
So
beautiful. That's beautiful. And that is not something that is taught. We're taught don't tolerate, don't put up with, um, you deserve the world. It's like, why do I deserve the world? Do I really? Do I? Have I earned anything? Have I
mhm,
and here's my point. Is that working?
right.
Cut off all this, cut this, if they're not treating you this way. And sometimes long suffering sucks.
Yeah.
To bite your tongue sucks.
Right.
But sometimes it's the right thing. And we look and go, you don't have to put up with that, this and that. And there's
And
a balance there though, but I think
that,
that's where we need the Holy Spirit's guidance.
right. There is a balance. There is a
Hmm.
balance. You have to understand yourself. Like, am I truly happy? Can I get there? And
Yeah.
if I can get there, am I okay with that? Darn it. You know, you always have to change the world. You're not superwoman or superman or, you know, just be
Yeah.
okay. Be okay and be accepting. And so what if you have to start from square one?
Yeah.
You that doesn't make you less. You
Yeah.
you get a chance to freaking do it all over again or do it again.
Yeah.
Oh,
It,
be proud, that you've done something out of nothing.
yeah. One of the things, because I know your viewers are watching, and I know they probably all have a story of when they like just adored you like I do. And you said something when I asked you a question. I was probably spamming your chat too, and you were nice. See, you were long suffering, and I was asking you about my situation with my wife being separated. And one of the things that it still resonates with me so much, and I believe it always will, was you definitely were inspired by God, um, because it wasn't like a generic um, analysis of what was going on or something that could be
Right.
explained on any level because you didn't know me from anybody. And you said something that resonated so strong with my situation with her. And I had done so much to try to live up to an expectation of what she had for a marriage in me. And I would blame myself in the separation. You said, you are her husband, not her God. And I went, and light bulbs went off. And I went, that's exactly how I feel that she wants me to be. And when I looked at like on paper what I do and all these things, and I'm like, there's always things that she's not happy with. And the root of it was that she wasn't happy with herself. And
Mhm.
I was pushing myself so hard to be everything for her. And I
Right.
couldn't be. I was a husband. And yeah, that really resonated with me when you
And then
spoke that to me.
you ask yourself, we believe that we are ready, right, for these high level of responsibilities, right? That we
Hmm.
believe that it's part of our happiness, right? We believe that we've done something with ourselves completely, right?
Hmm.
But really, I believe God sees it more within you. Have you really done something with yourself, or do I have to present you with someone enough for you to see what's truly missing?
Mm, mm,
Sometimes we push ourselves far to the edge where we believe that we have the capacity or the strength, right,
mhm.
to help these people or whomever we're connected with, right? Husband, wife, daughter, son, and we're like, yeah, what is it that you need? What is it that you need, right? And if you don't have that borderline, that barrier, that limitation. It can exceed to an advantage where you believe that you've done something and then you really truly done nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the other person, is receiving, right, but not understanding,
Mm.
not
Yeah.
process what you're telling them. You know, I'm going to meet you halfway. You come hither and meet me the other way. I want to know that what I'm doing for you, you're actually getting,
Mm. Mm.
not taking advantage of it to an extent where you're just letting the other person know that you're really hearing them, but are you truly listening? Are you
Yeah.
really understanding where they're coming from? Do you not see the pattern? They're not
Mm-hmm.
trying to change you. They're trying to be by your side to show you something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're believing enough in yourself that you can make this happen and have the strength within yourself to move forward, what makes you think they're going to continue to budge, right? To
Mm-hmm.
open eyes. They're not going to. What you're going to do is you're going to drain them
Mm-hmm.
because there is no reciprocation. There is no reciprocity. There is
Mm.
no strength to understand that you have the ability to change. You
Yeah.
know, where is the underlying motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, if it's not coming from you, then where does it start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretense. Is it, is it from childhood, right? Does this trauma lead from childhood? Maybe someone came in your life to show you something, right? And if we believe that we don't want it, nor do we want to allow it, you're not going to move any further than where you stand.
Mm.
Because someone's going to, someone or the other is going to get tired of the repetitiveness. You
Yeah.
know, we're
Yeah.
going to get tired because you're not going anywhere. Where are you going, right?
Mm-hmm.
We say there, come here. We say there, we say nay. We say, and guess what? We still stand like stones. We don't see that indication that you care enough for yourself enough to understand the other person and their pattern. You become paralyzed.
Yeah.
You want to listen. You believe that you know it. You know, you're like, who are you? I don't know. You live with me. I don't know. You vibe with me. So
Yeah.
who am I then? You know?
Yeah.
And what does that make me then? Am I actually learning? Am I actually understanding the other person's suffrage? Am I mirroring you? Are we mirroring one another? Darn it. And if we are, what do we need to do to get there?
Yeah.
Just some sort of habitual, like I said, habitual pattern, right?
Yeah.
And sort of a mental, state that you believe that, yeah, we done this. We exceeded this. Did you really? Where
Hmm.
does it show that? Where is the outcome? What
Hmm.
actions initially really match with what you have been indicating? What is your end goal? You know, are we checking these things off?
Mm-hmm.
Is it better? Are you disciplined enough to be responsible enough to even understand the other person in a respectable level?
Yeah.
What is it that is causing you to be so unhappy? Enough for you not to be happy with someone else's success or progress. Maybe, the time was not for you. It never said that it was never going to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tensions could be the same mindset to the same degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with different like passion or desire, meeting at the same level. What
Mm-hmm.
if you were meant to work with one another? You know, what if that person was meant for you to help them become a better them, enough for them to become a better them on their end, not
Yeah.
when you need them to, when God believes that they know that they will become that. You
Yeah.
know, don't because you've changed or because you've gotten somewhere or because someone supported you to get there, right? Don't change who you are. You know, don't allow it to suck you dry. or you to become dry because okay, so what? You helped me get to school, or you helped me get here, or you know what I mean? and
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, because of the bitterness, or the fact that someone's just not getting to that specific level, let me treat them like this, knowing that they were there for me through my progress, through my stress, through my heartache, through my pain, through my tears, and then all of a sudden they just get rid of them like they're waste, like they
Yeah.
were nothing when they were everything,
Mm-hmm.
because they haven't gotten there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what happens when you believe that the grass is greener on the other side, because you've been so impatient, knowing that this person's heart was into you, knowing that you needed help still, that
Mm.
you to get somewhere, that
Mm-hmm.
you were ready to get in there, you know? And now that you're there, what about them?
Yeah.
And that's what people end up destroying.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can actually establish and speak about what you both built, whether you were here and they're there, but instead you want to go to the other side where you've never built with them to begin with. So are you truly entitled? Do you
Right.
really have something to speak about? And are they really gonna right away say, come hither, be part of my progress? I already reached second level, third level.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. That's
Right.
that's deep. Yeah, it's so true. That speaks to so many things. They say like these men that and I don't know how true this is,
Oof.
but like men that are like self-made, rags to riches, and um, they've had a woman with them where they were eating ramen noodles and scraping by, and that those men, when they get to that level and they've built, they've had a lot of success, that they are less likely to leave their wives because that wife knew them and stuck with them through thick and thin.